The Arrogant Prince. Prince Julian was known as the coldest heart in the kingdom of Silveridge. From his high balcony, the world below looked like a collection of tiny, unimportant toys. He believed that to lead was to be distant, and to be loved was a sign of weakness. But behind the silence of the stone walls, the prince was drowning in his own isolation. In the heart of the village lived Ilara, a girl who found magic in the dirt and the wind. She didn't care for crowns or titles. While the others bowed when the royal carriage passed, Ilara only saw a young man trapped in a golden cage. She knew that the most beautiful flowers often grew in the harshest, stoniest ground. The prince's only escape was the stables, where the horses didn't care about his title. Here, away from his father's watchful eyes, he allowed himself a moment of peace. Pip, the young stable boy, watched in silence. He was the only one who knew that the arrogant prince's hands were surprisingly gentle when no one else was looking. Julian spent his nights searching for a way to prove his worth to a father who never smiled. He found an old legend about a silver lily that only bloomed in the forbidden glade. They said the flower could heal any spirit. Julian didn't believe in magic, but he believed in the power of a trophy that could finally make him feel like a hero. Deep in the woods, Ilara sensed a change in the air. The forest was her second home, a place where the trees whispered secrets to those who listened. She knew someone was coming, someone who didn't belong. She didn't fear the forest, but she feared for the soul of the one who dared to enter it with a heart full of pride. Julian's horse reared back, sensing the strange energy of the woods. The prince gripped the reins, his knuckles white. He looked at the shadows and felt a chill he couldn't explain. For the first time in his life, his title meant nothing. Here, he wasn't a prince. He was just a boy, lost in a world that didn't know his name. The forest was not as empty as Julian had thought. A sudden snap of a twig sent him tumbling from his horse, landing in a patch of stinging nettles. His pride was bruised more than his body. As he looked up, expecting to see a monster, he saw something far more intimidating. A girl who wasn't afraid of him at all. Ilara watched the prince struggle with a mixture of amusement and pity. She didn't bow or offer a royal greeting. Instead, she offered her hand. Julian stared at it as if it were a strange artifact. He had never been helped by someone who didn't want something in return. In that moment, the hierarchy of the kingdom began to crumble. Against his better judgment, Julian followed her. He told himself he only needed a guide, but his heart knew better. As they walked, Ilara spoke of the forest not as a place of danger, but as a living thing. Julian listened, his arrogance slowly melting away. He realized that the world was much larger than the view from his balcony. As the stars began to peek through the trees, Julian shared the weight of his crown. He spoke of the pressure to be perfect and the fear of failing his father. Ilara listened without judgment, showing him that a person's worth isn't measured by their lineage, but by the kindness they show to others. For the first time, Julian felt truly seen. They finally found it, the silver lily. It glowed with a soft, heartbeat-like rhythm. This was the prize Julian had traveled so far to claim. But as he looked at the delicate flower and then at Elara, he realized that taking it would destroy the very magic he had come to love. He had to choose between his ego and his heart. Julian let out a breath he seemed to have been holding for years. He stepped away from the lily, leaving it to bloom in peace. He didn't need a trophy to prove he was a man. He only needed the courage to be himself. In that moment, the bond between the prince and the village girl became something stronger than friendship. The walk back felt shorter than the journey in. Julian realized that the forest was no longer a place of fear, but a place of clarity. He watched Elara walk with such confidence, and he found himself wanting to be the kind of man who belonged in her world, not just the one sitting on a throne. Back at the palace, King Alaric paced the cold marble floors. He cared for his son, but his love was buried under layers of duty and expectation. To him, Julian's disappearance was a sign of weakness. He didn't understand that his son was currently learning a lesson in strength that no royal tutor could ever teach. When they reached the edge of the village, Julian stopped. He looked at the humble homes and the smoke rising from the chimneys. This was the world he used to look down upon from his balcony. Now, seeing it up close, he realized it wasn't a world of toys, but a world of families, hard work, and real life. The prince took off his silver ring, the symbol of his cold and distant life. He realized he didn't want to be a ruler who was feared from a distance. He wanted to be a man who was respected for his actions. He handed the ring to Elara, not as a payment, but as a promise to never forget the person he became in the forest. As Julian climbed the path to the palace, his steps felt lighter than ever. The heavy cloak was gone, and so was the weight on his soul. He knew his father would be angry, and the court would whisper, but for the first time, Julian wasn't afraid of their judgment. He was returning to his throne, but this time, he was bringing the heart of the village with him. The king looked at his son, expecting to see a failure. Instead, he saw a man who stood taller than any crown could make him. Julian didn't apologize for his disappearance or his messy clothes. He spoke of the people, the forest, and the strength found in kindness. For the first time in decades, the king stayed silent and truly listened to his son. Julian spent more time in the village than in the palace. He learned how to build, how to listen, and how to laugh. He wasn't just a prince who watched from a balcony anymore. He was a leader who walked among his people. The villagers no longer bowed in fear, but greeted him with a nod of true respect. As the sun set over Silveridge, Julian and Elara looked out at a kingdom that was finally changing. The walls between the castle and the village had vanished, replaced by a bridge of understanding. Julian realized that true royalty isn't found in a crown of gold, but in the love you give and the heart you choose to follow.